Want to
Thank you. Um, yeah, so my name's Alan Beattie. For those that weren't in the previous meeting for RFM and those that haven't met me before, been working with Wardy and Rowan for 4.5 years now, and I chair both entities, RFM and Regen Digital. I did in the AGM that we've just had for RFM. I did highlight we're sort of taking a step back as to where we are over the last 4 years and what we see as 2026 being. I won't repeat all of it for the sake of those of you that have heard it before. I'll probably make a completely different story anyway. So, um, because you can never say the same thing twice exactly the same way. But we have seen the last 4 years as very much foundational, building brand reputation. We've been successful in getting a pipeline of grants and some investment monies in, and we will obviously continue to do that going into 2026 across both entities. Um, we're excited by some of the successes that we've been able to demonstrate through both entities in terms of verified claims, the build out of some technology capabilities, building out our product strength around oakland woodland restoration, and initiatives and activities in support of supply chain transparency and traceability and what have you. We very much see 2026 as a year where we can uh, turn a lot of these initiatives and these opportunities into start to make a real difference collectively for the farming community, for the community at large, and for the environment, of course, which is really what this is all about. At the same time, we hope to start to drive stronger revenue streams and a sort of annuity revenue streams, such so that the business can go from strength to strength, and that we can continue to reinvest into it with more hands to support the businesses, and at the same time to demonstrate that we really are a viable business and that we are making a difference to attract third-party money, whether that's ongoing Commonwealth or state grants, or indeed third-party investment from true investors. Um, that's my sort of opening statements, other than to welcome everybody. I don't believe we've got any particular apologies. You see the agenda in front of you. We'll take you through that in the next 25 minutes. The highlights being the CEO's report, and then we have some formalities around the financials and what have you. So, Rowan or Wardy, who's doing this? Rowan, I guess. We've got the previous minutes from last year for last year's AGM. So um, we will, unless we hear from anybody, we will take those as a fair reflection of that meeting last year, and we'll have those formally ratified.
come back. Where'd you go? There we go.
And then, did we get any proxy? I don't believe there's anything for voting in any case, Rowan. But did we get any proxy?
No,
No.
no
Okay.
problem.
All right. So I think this is on to your CEO's report. Is that right?
Yes, awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Um, so, as Alan said, 2026 is looking like a seminal year for Regen Digital and Regen Farmers Mutual, um, as we look to finalise our product, and start to really to drive the membership growth of the mutual, and therefore customers of Regen Digital. And finally, to really validate the business model, which we've been building over the last 4 years. So we've arrived at a place where we have a pretty clear understanding of what we're doing. Having said that, our strategic vision hasn't changed since pretty much inception. That the core business of Regen Digital is to build technologies that enable our members to discover opportunities on their farms, with respect to delivering environmental outcomes that make economic sense. And then to once they've discovered an opportunity, to manage that opportunity, manage the project related to that. And so the idea is that we're helping that our technology helps farmers to manage the project, and then thereby collect the data and the evidence that goes to enable the outcome to be verified. which is what makes it possible for Regen Farmers Mutual to then verify claims by its members. And we've been working on with the United Nations Transparency Protocol to enable those claims to be shared in a universal language that'll be globally accepted. So that vision remains very much still in focus. If we look to what's happened over the last year, we just kind of take you through some interesting stats to give you sort of like a bit of a picture. So we had a new platform. So we moved from our original open source platform that we used to kind of explore how we go about delivering our services. And in the middle of last year, or just before in May of last year, we had this new platform introduced, and you can see that that's been as we've adopted that, enable us to grow users. It's important to note that these users pretty much are confined to being members that have come through our landscape impact programs, because that's been our principal way of engaging with folk as we really have built out and understood what we were actually doing. So in terms of the farms that make up our current membership who are signed up on the platform, we can see that, well, New South Wales is the predominant state. We've got 8.5% unknown. That's those farmers who haven't put their address or their state on their digital twin. So when you look at the total of hectares outstanding, we're at 81,000. So there's 81,000 hectares across our membership, which is a significant number when you're talking about making an impact on the environment. So that you can see everything's going up to the right. That looks okay. Just two other points that are interesting to note, because they kind of talk to how we've arrived at our current product set. One is that we introduced carbon emissions reporting this year. And the way we've done that is we've integrated with the AIA, the Agricultural Innovation Australia platform. And that they've ended up being the organisation, the government's invested $6.3 million, the Commonwealth Government, to centralise and coordinate and simplify carbon calculators for everyone, because we can't have the current situation where we go down to our farmers in Heytesbury and they say, I've had 3 different carbon calculators, undertaken, one by Nutrien, one by my bank, and one by Dairy Australia, and they've all had different results. And so the government's invested in the AIA, saying we want one standard calculator, and using the GAF tool that's being developed out of University of Melbourne over a long period of time by Richard Eckhart. And so because we adopted the AIA tool, so we've built our platform to integrate directly and enables our members to enter the data in their own environment, then interrogate that data using the calculator that the AIA set up, but not by disclosing any of their own data. So it sends off what's required to the AIA calculator and gets back the results with respect to the emissions. And so that allows us to do what we said we would do from the outset, is allow our members to have control over their data and to share it when they choose to share it. And so where that lands is that we can then enable a carbon calculation with that control being given. And so what you can see there is that again, that kind of reflects the types of organisations, enterprises that are our members, and not surprisingly, beef is the largest. But you can see that as we've had different landscape impact programs, we had one in the Herbert River that brought on sugar growers in that region, and were able to kind of help them understand their carbon emissions. The other part to our business that we now have a clear understanding of is that we're really this idea about how we go about helping farmers with project management. And what we introduced again at the middle of the year was the idea of trying to understand what farmers need when they enter into a project. And we're defining project pretty broadly here. A project could be, I want to measure my carbon emissions on an annual basis. Okay, so we create a project type, which is measure my carbon emissions, and then have a series of processes that the farmer can step through and be reminded of when it's time to do something and to collect evidence and what have you. So again, what you see there on the right is that we had some example projects, and you can see what people were interested in. So the open woodland restoration is the thing that well, has become the most interesting thing for people. We had an example of a beef insetting program, which there was plenty of interest shown in. So that gives you a sense of why we've landed at where we've got to. We've got this strategic vision, and we've been building our technology to enable this project management capability, the opportunity finder, and then the ability to verify claims. And so, how does that place us for next year? We've got our web platform, and it'll be relaunched early next year. With some enhancements that are being made currently based on the learnings that have come out this year. So we have it embedded in that. There is this opportunity finder, and we initially used that concept to have a very broad scattergun approach and have a very large data set of opportunities in the market. And we're now arriving at a place where we're starting to understand, per Wardy's introduction in the RFM meeting, that our job is really to help farmers in their landscapes understand their opportunities with respect to those stakeholders that they have direct relationships with, if you like. So the Opportunity Finder will be relaunched. We have this project management capability where you can, if you start a project and then be taken through the 185 steps that are involved in the open woodland restoration project over 25 years. And so it enables for a farmer to have a central place where they can manage that project, and enable for those outcomes to be verified. As Jack talked to, we have also the ability to join groups, and that's currently probably we haven't taken it as far as we can see where it's going to go. But like to Wardy's point earlier, that the idea is we're enabling groups in a landscape to aggregate their market power to engage with their suppliers, supply chains, and financial institutions. The other important thing to note that we've learnt this year is that the online platform really is a tool to help advisors engage with their farmer clients. So farmers can appoint or an advisor to come and help them manage a project on their twin, and it creates the tool whereby, again, it's within the farmer's own confines, can control that data set, but it becomes a way for that advisor to really shepherd them through that process. So that's the web app, and then the second part to the technology that'll be launched next year is our mobile app. And the mobile app's purpose is really around data collection. So the idea is that it links off the projects. It's driven off the projects that you might be involved in. So you might have started a carbon emissions assessment, for example, or you might be part of the woodland design. And because that woodland design has various steps involved, and some of those steps might have upcoming dates, we can enable those steps to be you to be notified of those steps as and when they become due. So we can send you a push notification via the app to say, hey, tomorrow you've got to go take some photos of those trees you planted last year. Go out there. So it's very much about the app's very much about collecting data to manage, to a particular workflow. It's also got the ability to do data collection and surveys, so we can help with things like the cotton sustainability framework, and we can have those location and time-stamped images that so critical for enabling evidence, and then enabling verification. So in terms of the kind of the broader, so that's the technology that we've got. In terms of how we're going to build the business, somewhat difficulty, I suppose. We've lost our CTO, so to speak. Our CTO has become our technical advisor, and the reason for that is he got a gig with NASA to grow plants in space, and we couldn't really compete with that. So he's living over at London at the moment, but he is still providing that input, and we've got some of his work colleagues, actually former work colleagues, helping us to continue to build out the tech platform. But what that talks to is the need for us to solve that in the new year with replacing Luke with a full-time CTO. we have this incredible partnership with RFM, which is we've documented it really in that way to protect RFM's members from Regen Digital ever being able to kind of go to be sold off to Google and all that data to kind of be captured by I'm not saying Google would do that, but by captured by some corporate entity. So we've got a really strong relationship that creates really strong governance. And the two programs that we really see that are enabling the growth of the Regen Digital platform uptake next year will be with respect to begin with, the verified emission program. So we're, as I say, working with in the sugar industry, in the dairy industry, and in the beef industry, and in the cotton industry, all of which have this common problem where you've got multiple parties asking for carbon emissions and they want you to use their process to do so. We think it's a much stronger proposition for the farm to do it on their side of the fence and say, all right, I can share it with you using in a verified way using my platform. And the second, the big driver will be with respect to open woodland restoration. And as whatever alluded to earlier, we've got inertia in that space by virtue of the fact of the government grants that we have in that space with our relationships with the folk like Elders and Transgrid, and with on the science side, people like ANU and the Biodiversity Conservation Trust, who are really interested in the biodiversity side of things as well. The final thing that that Alan mentioned early on, we have given that we see this that we have our foundations and we're really about now validating our business model and growing it out. We will be looking to address capital management with really a seed raising early next year, and that's most likely be done through the Digital Finance CRC. So we're actually a pilot of their impact exchange, and they invested some money in us earlier last year. Invested, provided 150,000 in funding for pollination to do some work, advisory work for us. So we're an existing pilot of that Digital Finance CRC program, and so we're looking to take advantage of that to help us with a capital raising early next year. All right. Very quickly on the financial report side, as you'd expect for a business of our size, it's very simple metrics. Our revenue to date's really been driven by grants or subscriptions through grants, and that could be coming either direct or through Regen Farmers Mutual. Last year was a half. We only had the final part of the traceability grant number 2 come through, hence the lower numbers. And in terms of the balance sheet, probably the only you've got your software kind of development pool, which represents the investment we've made in developing that software as it on a depreciated basis. And the only thing that really stands out to me there is this borrowings number, which relates to our convertible note with that has a need. It's got an expiry in October of this year, and that we have a need to address at that point in time. And so that has a accumulating interest, which is why it's 381. The borrowings there are actually relate to the 63,000. I can't remember. It might be a tax liability. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. That's what we owe to Regen Farmers Mutual, made a loan direct. So when you take the 381 into consideration, that's what's driving the net equity deficit. And that would be the financial accounts. Back to you, Alan.
Thank you. Sorry, I was just trying to find the mute button. Right. So as in the other meeting, we'll take those financials as read. Copies are available. And just again, Deloitte audit those as at year end, financial year end. So we have those done as at 30th of June, which you've seen, and then we get management accounts, and the latest we have of those is 30th September, and the picture is similar to the one that you've just seen. Is there anything else in the agenda? What's next on the agenda item? Yes. So we have this AGM every 12 months. So the next meeting will be in November. It seems to come around very quickly, but we will have the next meeting in November or early December 2026. And just finally, both for RFM and for Regen Digital, it goes without saying that first and foremost, we thank everybody that's here with us today and the many, many others that we work with, and particularly Wardy sees on a day-to-day basis that supports what it is that we're looking to achieve. And of course, we can't do it without in isolation. And we very much welcome the ongoing support from the Members' Council and from you, from each and every one of you, as we endeavour to make a real difference uh, to the to the environment, to the communities, and to the way in which we operate and we farm the land, and the way that ends up on tables around the world. I always reflect on one of my banking jobs in London was dealing with the financial supply chain. In other words, looking at supply chains from a lending, working capital, risk point of view. So it is something that I've been working on and off for the last 20 years, and I continue to enjoy trying to make a difference in that regard. And lastly, my thanks, go to Wardy, Rowan, and for some time, of course, Luke, who spend a lot of time driving this business forward, um, and and really look forward to an exciting 2026. And I hope in the last half an hour and in the half an hour prior to this one, you've seen some of the things that we're hoping to bring to market in 2026. Some of the ideas that we have. Um, we've got healthy pipelines in terms of grants, and we'll be looking at ways to raise capital in other forms through 2026, and it's something that we do discuss. Um, and yeah, that's believe it from me. Any final closing comments, Wardy, Rowan, and then we'll
Um,
just open it up for any comments from anybody else.
I feel that thank you, sir, should go to Christoph and Stephen Todd, and maybe the opportunity with
Yes, my
those.
apologies.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Stephen and Christoph, absolutely. Sorry, guys. Just I haven't seen you for a few weeks, so I can see Stephen there, and I did see Christoph's name somewhere earlier. And Jack as well for standing in with today earlier on. So no, Stephen and Christoph very much so. That was my omission. Apologies for that.
Otherwise, I have a suggestion that we formally end the recording of the AGM, but we have got 5 minutes. If anyone would like to stick around and have a, spitball or throw curveballs, please do. But I'm going to press end.